What was your address to the team this morning?
Not fun. Just obviously end of season wrap up. Had to run through some logistical stuff in terms of what's happening here in the transition, and it's obviously a major transition. We're leaving the USL and going into MLS, and there's so many different factors. Obviously now we have to have player meetings, which we're going to do in the next few days with the guys to let them know where they stand. But also from a club perspective, there's a lot of moving pieces. The surface here is going to get changed, so this will be off access to us for a little bit of time. There's obviously the training ground that's being built in different phases of when we're going to have access for that. Lots of different things. So it was a positive chat. We gave a lot of operational stuff. There's a lot of disappointment still lingering, obviously, from Saturday night. I think the guys and myself are all pretty disappointed, but we're trying to be as transparent and give the guys as much information as quickly as possible.
So are the players, are their commitments done now, and can they go on the job market, or obviously you said you'll have a conversation over there?
We're trying to it's obviously scheduling to get everybody together as quickly as possible. We're going to have player meetings with them as quickly as possible and let them know exactly where they stand. There's obviously some players we'd love to keep around for next year, and there's other players we may love to keep them around, but we just won't be able to keep them around. It's the reality of going from the second tier to the first tier and trying to build the best possible squad for next year.
Do you have an idea of how many people will be kept?
I have an idea, but you're going to have to wait a few days to figure out exactly what that number is. We spoke to the group before the season started and said the more success we have this year, the larger the number of players we're going to keep from the squad. And to be fair to the players, they've done almost everything we could ever ask from them. This has been a historic season in terms of most points ever achieved in the USL, obviously the unbeaten streak, the most consecutive wins. So we're incredibly proud of all the players, but we're going to have to make some very, very difficult decisions, obviously. And there'll be some players that will be rewarded for their efforts, and there's some players that unfortunately we just won't be able to reward because we've got different mechanisms ahead of us in terms of acquiring players, and we'll have to build the best squad we can.
Are you going to be doing that with Luke? Does Luke make decisions? How does that work out?
We have a triangle within the club, with obviously Jeff is the president and GM, and then I'm the head coach, and Luke is the technical director, so we'll sit down in those meetings a lot. But we have discussed, obviously, if you want to play a certain way, and as a coach, you need to be able to have the players that are going to suit the style you want to play. Obviously, I'll have a major say in terms of who we bring in, just like I did this last off-season when I worked very, very hard at it with Jeff. The nice thing now we have Luke here with us to help aid us in that process.
Alan, you talked a few weeks ago about implementing a style and doing that from having a big picture plan. Is the way you want to play going to be a continuation next year of what we saw this season?
It's a really interesting question. I've had that question from a lot of people in the game. How we played this year, I feel like we assembled the best squad in the league, and it's why we were the league champions, and it's why we did what we did, and we played the way we were capable of playing. Now, going into the MLS, we're not going to have the top resources in the league. And your resources determine how you play and the system of play. We're going to continue to try to play beautiful soccer, but there's going to be moments next year where we're going to have to adjust how we play in certain games, and we have to have the players that will suit that adjusted, obviously, style of play. We're going to continue to play good soccer, and I think we've done a very good job of showing how we want to play and how that's progressed from last year to this year. But we're going to have to tweak a couple things next year, because to go play against some of the players we're going to have to play against next year, we won't be able to play as open a style of soccer as we played at times this year.
What surprised you the most about this team this year?
Nothing really surprised me, because we put a lot of work in the last off-season to build this group. But some of the records we broke, I think, were surprising, because some of them are absolutely outstanding. And I'm incredibly proud of every single person that worked with this group every single day to put that success in place. So that's the biggest thing that really surprised me. I know people pass comments and you see it. It's like if you invest, you should win. There's no guarantees that we were going to have the season that we had this year. You have to squeeze everything you can out of every single player. The MLS this year is a great example of that. You look at teams like Toronto that have spent big and didn't even make the playoffs. You look at yesterday, the Galaxy for the second year in a row with what they've spent didn't make the playoffs either. So there's no guarantees. I think a lot of people just expected us to have the season that we had. And don't expect it, because there's no guarantees in this business, as we found out on Saturday night. Anything can happen in any given game, and anything can happen in any given season too.
Building off that, what would you say to this fan base as it continues to grow with each passing season heading into MLS?
You know, I'd say the same things to the fans as I just said to the players in the change room. Thank you. I just thanked our players for everything they gave us this year, and we pushed them, and they pushed us too. I think our players were pushed to be the best that they could be, but they also pushed us as coaches to be the best we could be. And I'd say the exact same thing to the fans. Thank you, because you pushed us, and we feel like we pushed you too at the same time, because the more we won, obviously the more pressure there was on us, but our players and our fans really stepped up and embraced that. And we're going to need that support next year, because next year will not be like this year. There's no way we're going to go in and break records right away in the MLS next year. We're going to go through some tough times. We're going to suffer, like we've suffered a little bit this year, like we suffered a little bit last year, but we'll have to ride those ups and those downs together. And I think our true fans have shown how supportive they are. The few times that we weren't successful this year, they stood behind us completely, and we appreciate that backing.
You basically rebuilt the roster last offseason, but this offseason you'll have some different avenues to kind of help you with that. How much are you looking forward to having those different ways of building a team this year?
Yeah, it's not fun building a team every single off-season. So I hope this is the last off-season that we have to really go out and do that. I felt last year, at the end of the year, we had to do it, and obviously it was vindicated by the success that we had this year. And we need to do it, but it takes a lot of work to go source all of these different players, and we're going to have to do it again this year now too, which we're excited, we're ready to embrace that challenge. It's nice having a bit more support, obviously, with Luke being here helping us. Luke's out of the country right now as we speak, and I just saw after I finished the meeting, I've missed 2 calls from him already, so hopefully he's got some good, important news that we can talk about. But we've obviously put scouts in place too to help us, but it still doesn't take away from the work that's ahead of us. There's a lot of hard work ahead, and we're obviously more than willing to embrace that and go out and get the job done again.
What's going to be the hardest part?
Sleep. Well, sleep will be a challenge, that's for sure. I think meeting people's expectations, and I think we really have to manage those. I think our club has grown in such a quick way and a fascinating way, and I think we've raised the bar every single year. I think from the first year to the second year to the third year, the bar has been raised consistently. We're going to continue to raise that bar, but we have to be a little bit more realistic, obviously, because next year we're going to go play in a league that there's an abundance of teams that have major resources at their disposal.
Will people know by the end of the week their future with the club?
I'm hoping so. Yeah, I hope so. I want to be as transparent and get back to the guys as quickly as we can. But that depends on everybody's schedules. It depends on getting Jeff and myself in the room, and it depends on Jeff's schedule, my schedule, and we want to get back to the guys as quickly as we can.
Will we know by the end of the week?
You know what? As much as I love you guys, it's way more important to let the players know where they stand first before we let you guys know. So we'll get it to you as quickly as we can. How's that sound?
Do you get any downtime, or are you just on a plane? And
there's no downtime. We're going to just keep on going. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and once it's done, then we can relax for a few days, and then we'll start preseason. So.